Hey guys, John Grimsmo here, bringing you another shop vlog, not quarantine vlog. For us, we're back to normal. Well, we're back to work. Things are definitely different, that's okay. Filming is different. Been at work the past 2 days and I didn't film nothing. I feel bad. But let's film a little bit today for sure. I don't think I'll be as available to bust out the camera as much as I was when I was here by myself. That's okay. We'll figure out a plan to make it work, and as long as I get to bring you guys along on some of the journey, then it'll be fun and enjoyable. Let's see. The Swiss lathe is currently running. I haven't touched it. I didn't touch it at all today. It's going great. This guy is crushing it on that machine. Me taking the time and the releasing, allowing him to run that machine, there he is right now, going to check parts, has freed me up to spend more time on the business, more time on the remaining things that only I can do, which I'm starting to eliminate, and starting to allow me to spend more time with the other guys on the team to help train and educate and just grow them. And there's a lot to do in this business that I've been neglecting. Eric and I have been neglecting, and we've had a lot of long conversations, a lot of sunburn-inducing. It's healing. It just started peeling today. But yeah, like a lot of time outside, a lot of time conversing, trying to figure out where we want to take this business, where we want to go. Like this is a real business now. This is huge. This is far beyond where my imagination was in the beginning. And sometimes I feel like I'm just trying to catch up, trying to keep up. And sometimes I'm in planning mode where I'm like, okay, let's strategize, let's figure out where we're gonna go. So that's where my head's been at for the past week or so. I don't think I've touched the Kern for a week after making all those blades. Basically just waiting on some material to show up, some tools that have been showing up the past few days, and then I can dig into that maybe later today, probably tomorrow, and get going on that. I will come back at you when I have something cool to show, like right now. All right, so when it comes to a knife, heat treating is very important. And in one of the previous videos recently, I showed Sky doing some of the heat treat. Now, bad heat treat, this is not horrible. I think I might have talked about this in the previous video, but I can't remember. This is not horrible, but it's certainly not ideal. The bag punctured, obviously, right, you can usually see the spot. Yeah, right there at the corner. Far from ideal, but I think acceptable, especially for prototypes. This one happens to be number 7 and number 8. In the engraving, it's going to be hard to clean out. Like, we're just going to have to accept the color in the engraving. And then you got a batch like this that our man Steven did that are, oh man, 100% gorgeous. Look at that. I think they're in order. Yeah, with a couple missing, like the 7 and the 8, and then 9 and 10 and 11. I gotta move that 11, get my OCD happy. Yeah, so we've made 12 so far. Next up on the Kern is to do either work on grinding these, slap them on the side of the pallet, work on milling and grinding and figuring out exactly how I want to do my bevels, or work on the handles. And I gotta do both. Haven't fully decided. I've been picking away at both. Oh, these look so good. The other thing that's been on my mind the past few days, it's gotten hot. I mean, sunburn. Like, summer has hit. It is May 28th right now. You can tell on my Kern chiller right here. Ambient temperature is 27.3 degrees Celsius. It got up to over 29 degrees last night, and it's just, you sweat standing still. And that machine is a heat pump, the Swiss. The Mori makes a little bit of heat, the Nakamura makes a lot of heat, and the Kern and this chiller is a hot fan blowing stuff out. And we are actively looking into putting air conditioning in this shop and in the front shop. And we have to keep in mind that a lot of the machines are heat pumps. Now this guy right here, we placed that strategically under a window so that we can put ducting up and out, because all that heat does not need to enter the building in the summer, but in the winter it'd be great because it would reduce our heating bill. It's producing heat. Let's use that in the winter, but in the summer I don't want it. So we're gonna have to talk to the HVAC guys, figure out what we're gonna do there, maybe a baffle or something. But we need a big enough system in this building. We got about 4,000 square feet here. The offices in the front are air conditioned themselves, but not back here. And it's just not gonna be good. It's gonna be a hot summer for us. And it's gonna be expensive. It's gonna be like, first total ballpark quote we got was gonna be $25,000 to $45,000. So we'll see. We'll get some actual quotes. We'll get some guys in who know what they're doing and figure this out. I want it to be nice. I want to be comfortable. I want consistent temperature for all the machines so that they can be more consistent, etc. Doing good and steady Norseman production here. Angela's been keeping this thing humming all day, every day. It's weird, this is like our most boring machine now, but it's incredible and just reliable, and it's just such a good daily driver. DMG Mori DuraVertical 5100, we've had this thing is almost paid off. Due to the whole pandemic, we got a lot of the payments deferred for 3 to 6 months. This would have been paid off in about 3 or 4 months, but we got it deferred a little bit. Either way, it's gonna be paid off this year, and then it's ours. And then the next one that we got was the Nakamura. That'll be paid off next year sometime. And then I guess the Tornos, and then the Kern. The Kern has a long ways to go. This guy's going home. He's leaving work for me. Now I gotta set up the Swiss. Yeah, he's had a super productive day on the Swiss. We've been making thumb studs. I talked about this a bit on Instagram, but some of you guys aren't on Instagram. So we've been making our thumb stud for the Norsmo, and my finger's still so purple. So we're making regular thumb studs, and on the Swiss I had to switch it opposite. I had to make it, I had to rotate the part 180 degrees and make it the different side first, and then the threaded side second, which is opposite of how I've always made it on a lathe. So it added some challenges. However, it gave us some opportunity for awesomeness. Okay, this camera can't zoom in that close. Fraser, let's throw in some of the screenshots from Instagram or something. I can text them to you or something. Sky and I have them. But we added an engraving. Sky and I were BSing. We're like, oh, let's put Grimsmo Knives engraving on the bottom side, on the face, where it's attached to the blade and you're never gonna see it. And I was like, okay, let's do that. So we did, and it turned out epic, and it looks so cool. And it's one of those things that a customer's never ever gonna see unless they happen to take the thumb stud off, which you basically never have to do. But if you do, and if you happen to flip it over, you're gonna see the word Grimsmo Knives, and it's gonna be like, those guys are crazy, they thought of everything. And I mean, way back in the day, this is our spacer that goes in the back of the knife, holds the two handles together. On that face right there, we used to engrave Grimsmo Knives around the outside with a tiny little chamfer tool. I stopped doing it because we used to do those on the mill, on the Mori, or sorry, on the Tormac, and the Boss was smaller, so there was a little bit more room. Now the Boss is bigger, so there's no room. We could use a tiny tool on this machine. Maybe I'll bring it back eventually, but yeah, thumb studs, however, have been going awesome. In the past, 2 days, we've made 300 something, fairly without almost any effort. Had a huge coolant spill. I think the chip tray got, I haven't been emptying it very well, so it got really full, and then the oil like found a new way out. So it filled our, we had a stainless steel drip tray made up to go under the lathe. You can see it full of coolant right now, full of oil. That filled up, overflowed a little bit, and there was a puddle on the ground, nothing horrendous, Not a huge deal for Sky to clean up. And we still got some oil in there we gotta suck out. But yeah, I mean, it's been, and that's just one machine, one, you know, basically just what Sky's been up to, and he's also been learning some other stuff too. And I don't want to just boast about Sky, but him and I are working very closely the past few days, so that's heavily on my mind. And it's going really good. I'm feeling it already. I already talked about this earlier, but it's freeing me up to spend time with the other guys and to actually think about more things, and it's good. This is the direction the business needs to go in. But yeah, due to we out of parts, we're switching to our lock bar stabilizer, our LBS, which is this little tiny, super thin, 95 thou thick screw, basically. It's got a T9 Torx on it. It's got a super duper short 440 thread. It's like 2 thread rotations, if that. Somewhat challenging part to make, although just super clean and smooth once it's running. I think I gotta switch, I don't know, I forget. It's been a little while since I've made them. So yeah, I'm just setting up the lathe, gonna run that tonight. We should make enough tonight to be able to switch back to something else tomorrow. It's good. Yeah, if I can, I mean, I got time. I'll get the setup done tonight. That's what I'm up to. So in the 20 minutes before Sky had to go home, he has replaced the subcollet. He has replaced the ejector pin that goes pa-choom, spits the part out. He has tightened the collet, but he hasn't adjusted the clamping force, which is this guy right here. This air cylinder right there pushes that way, pushes this lever horn thing, whatever it's called, that way, and that pulls a drawbar, and the collet goes clamp, unclamp. This is the unclamp position, this is the clamp position. And it's easy to do right now with no part installed. But if I had 2 hands and wasn't holding a camera, I'd hold a part here, and I'd feel this, and I'd tighten it, and it would get really, really hard, and then it would pop. And I'm adjusting it based on that pop. And it's been interesting teaching Sky a feel. And I can watch him struggle and know, I can watch him and know if it's strong enough or not, based on my own experience. And then it teaches him the feel for it too, which is kind of neat. So I still have to replace the guide bushing, I have to replace the main collet, I've already replaced the bar feeder stuff over there, and then I've put new bigger bars in. We were running these 1/4 inch bars, and now I put in some 3/8 bars. I replaced this collet, and I replaced the settings on the thing. And as you guys told me a bunch of videos ago, there needs to be setup checklists for this kind of stuff, especially with Sky being involved. And I haven't gotten there yet, but I will. And then I think I have to put in 1 threading tool, because, I'll show you, this guy, I've got to thread it into a spacer right now just so I can actually hold it. The threads are so short that as the threading tool is coming in, and it almost, or sometimes even does, hit the face of that part as the threading tool comes in and makes that thread. So I actually had to have some inserts modified. Where you at, holder? Well, there's the inserts. I'm not sure where the holder is yet. So I had a local company grind these down. This is the normal insert, see how thick that triangle is, and this is the modified one. So they ground it thinner right there on that side, and I gave them a spec to grind it to, and it's now an uneven triangle. However, it's deep enough to do a 440 thread. So the thread doesn't need to go all the way back on this side of the triangle. It just needs to, the depth of the thread is only as much as that side. And this lets me get bang up right close to the face. So if that's the face of the part, the diameter, if this makes any sense to anybody, and I'm cutting the thread, cutting the thread, cutting the thread, I don't know. It works. It works great. Hard to explain while holding a camera and not trying that hard. Moving on. So this insert right here, I have to choose which holder I'm going to use it in. I have the choice between that one right there or this one on the back side. I think I'm going to use the back side one, which I believe I did last time. Right above the parting blade, right there. And then I can get through coolant to it. Not that a threading op needs through coolant, but it helps get the chips out of the way so that they don't wrap around the threads and cause a problem later. So I gotta put the insert in, I gotta pull the holder out, put the insert in, dial it, touch it off, and then run one of those coolant lines to the manifold block that I have right there. You can see I've got one plugged in for my part off blade and then a cap right there. Getting there, almost done. Almost done, actually. I think I'm almost ready to run. Good. Oil everywhere. First part has been made. A bunch of things I want to tweak on it, as always. The chamfer is too deep. The thickness is ever so slightly too thick. There's a little bit of a burr right there. I gotta figure out what's wrong with that. And there are no threads on this thing. So either I touched off the tool completely wrong, or it broke? I don't know. I gotta look. It's hard when the coolant's running, you can't see anything, so I might actually run the threading op with no coolant and see what's going on. And actually the Torx pattern is the old pattern that I used to do, and then I changed it to be much better. Under the microscope it doesn't look as good, and I know the new ones look better, so I gotta go back to the programming and I gotta make that better. So, I'm kinda tired right now. It's not that I'm not thinking straight, it's just I'm slower. And, you know, operating heavy equipment while tired. Great idea. So I don't know if you can see on camera, but the bar is, sorry, focus on my finger. The bar is right there, and the parting tool is supposed to be touching that nub in the middle. I can't get the camera any closer. The threading tool is right, you know, kind of close, but it's, I don't know, it's a good bit off. It's supposed to be touching. I stopped it mid-threading cycle, so it, you know, it does the threading bum 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 bum, and no wonder why it's not right. So I got to touch it off again. Let's put a little time lapse of me touching it off. Two things. I totally figured out why it was off, and I got lucky. I had to put that insert into a different holder, move it to a different spot, and at the time that I did that, I wasn't able to touch it off. And I'll get to what that means in a second for those of you who don't know. I wasn't able to touch it off because there was no bar in there, and I just couldn't do it. So mental note, hey John, do that later. Touch the tool off, and I forgot. Because I did a bunch of other stuff, and then I forgot. Luckily, complete dumb luck, it was in the safe direction. It was, you know, that far apart. It could have very easily been in the other direction and broken the tool tip off. I mean, it wouldn't have been anything catastrophic, but this time, I don't know. There's a lot to remember with something like this, and I forgot. And I'm admitting that I forgot, and that's good. Anyway, touching off a tool, you may wonder, hey John, what does that mean? I don't know anything about lathes. So, all right, if you're turning this, turning is, you know, making a round thing on a lathe. This is your tool. I'm gonna go to manual focus here. There we go. So this is your tool. It goes like this and cuts the diameter of the part. If your material is bigger, then your tool is actually into the cut like that. It's engaged, and I'm gonna fake it and go behind the tool. And it goes like this. It goes and it cuts a chip. The chip is cutting on this side edge. This happens to be a wiper insert. Don't worry about that. Touching off the tool means literally, whether you touch it off or like I do, I use a ruler, but it's got a consistent thickness and it's not so hard and brittle that it'll chip the tools. It does dent up a little bit. It's maybe not the greatest thing in the world, but a lot of people use paper, but I find that the oil does not make paper happy. So what I do literally is I do this, I put the ruler in there and I move the tools. I use the machine to move the tool slowly, slowly, slowly until the ruler won't move anymore. And it's a feel thing. I was able to teach it to this guy pretty quickly. You just keep juggling, jiggling, move the hand wheel, jiggle a little bit more, move the hand wheel until the ruler just kind of hangs there. And then you tell the machine this known diameter, because we can measure this with our measuring tools. The tool is now at that known diameter plus the shim thickness, and when your diameter, you have to do shim thickness on both sides. So if this is 1/2 inch and the shim is 20 thou, then you got to add 40 thou. So it'd be 0.54 as my tool position touched off. Same thing works in Z. Sometimes I'll face the end of the part with a known good setup tool, and then I'll take the new tool and I'll touch it in with the shim. My shim is 0.0214 thickness, and I tell the machine that it's at 0.0214. But anyway, that's what I mean when I say touching off a tool. I sometimes take for granted that I'm talking to machinists all the time, and I know I'm not. So I'll try to explain things in ways that everybody can understand, not bore too many people and not lose too many people, and everybody can have fun. So I think I'm good now. Yeah, made a couple other tweaks, loaded the code. Let's make another part. Check this out. So that was the threading operation with no coolant. I saw chips coming off, or at least the very first pass, and now we just gotta dial in the actual thread fit, and then good. Okay, it's been a bit. Parts are going good. My red bin has some manual focus. There you go, automatic's better. My red bin has some bad guys in it, but that's okay because every step is closer to perfection. I have to replace one of these guys. Little turning insert that makes the face, the pretty flat face on the face of the part. There's two of these rung together. Stuck. Yeah, so I'm just replacing one of these inserts. I actually got some new ones from Kyocera that are slightly different and cool looking. Might be a little bit better. And that's it. I'm gonna put that in, run parts, run this thing probably 2 or 3 bars tonight. It's still warm from basically running all day, except for the past few hours that I've been setting this up. So tolerances will be a little big at first, and I'm planning for them to settle down because the lathe likes to shrink diameters as it warms up. But I should be able to come back in the morning to a lot of parts, like hundreds and hundreds of parts. It's good. All right, she's good to go. It's 8:30 at night, far past the time for me to go home, and I got 3 bars loaded up. Each bar is going to take about 7 hours, so probably two and a half bars or something will be, well, I guess 2 bars would be 14 hours, and that's, people will be here again in 12 hours or less. So anyway, there's plenty. It's gonna still be running in the morning, which is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Anyway, yeah, I'm out. Bye-bye.